Hi, and good afternoon, good evening. We're so happy that you've joined us today. I'm Sarah Rathburn with Healthy Fayette County. I'm joined today with Tracy Burns with the Whitewater Valley Art Association, also with Healthy Fayette County, and Missy Griffin, a nurse practitioner cardiologist with Reed Health. So today we want to talk about heart health. And first, let's start with how did you get into your interest in cardiology, and how did that develop?
So that's a good question. So I've been in healthcare for going on 30 years now, and I started as a CNA working in the extended care facility, and then I moved on to nursing school and graduated and went to work in the emergency department. And that's probably when my true love for cardiology began, and taking care of patients with acute heart attacks and cardiac arrhythmias and heart failure and so forth. And then I decided to go back to become a nurse practitioner, and finished that and did a couple of rotations in family health and other areas, and got drawn back into cardiology again, and that's where my love stems. And I've been with cardiology with Reed Enrichment Cardiology for going on close to 20 years.
Wow. What a wonderful asset. Thank you so much. Overall health in Fayette County, we rank number 2 in poor health for the state. And heart disease is the number 1 cause of death amongst Fayette County residents. What do you see as the overall health impact on our community?
So, when we talk about heart disease and coronary artery disease, we talk about, the vessels in your heart that feed the heart muscle. And with time, plaque can develop in those coronary arteries, and that can inhibit the blood flow and oxygen to the heart, which can affect the heart muscle, resulting in the heart muscle not working well, heart attack, things like that. So we'd like to eliminate the risk factors for coronary artery disease, and that includes family history. And unfortunately, there's not a lot we can do about family history. If you have a relative that has coronary artery disease, certainly you yourself should, consider getting screened. And you can do that simply through a coronary calcium score, which you have probably seen the advertisements for these. They go on special, and it's just a CAT scan, and it's looking at the calcium in the coronary arteries. Doesn't always necessarily mean that there's an issue, but it's something that helps us through the screening process. Certainly if you have any symptoms, that would definitely need to be checked out. Other risk factors are smoking. That's a big one. Smoking cessation is very important to keep the heart healthy. Also high blood pressure. We like to see the blood pressure down under 140/90, ideally in that 120/70 range most of the time. The other thing we would like to do is keep the cholesterol down. So your bad cholesterol, which is called your LDL, we like to see that number down below 70, ideally even in the 55 range if possible. And we can do that through medications and diet. Diabetes, that's another big risk factor. Keeping that hemoglobin A1C down is essential as well. And then physical inactivity, keep moving. That's essential to keeping your heart healthy. Exercise, and obesity, keeping your BMI down, and just staying active is really important to keeping a healthy heart. Things that I would be concerned about if you're someone that thinks you might have some heart issues is if you develop any kind of discomfort or heaviness in your chest. A lot of people think it's going to be a pain. And most of my patients will say, well, I've not had chest pain. You know, I've had more of a heaviness or a tightness, and it can radiate up into my neck or my jaw. I just become weak or lightheaded or fatigued. But most of the time, I don't hear chest pain. It's more of a chest discomfort or a heaviness, tightness. The symptoms will generally become worse, however, when you exert yourself. You know, if I climb a flight of stairs, I notice that my chest is getting heavy. I'm feeling short of breath. I sit down and rest and it goes away. So those are warning signs that, you know, you need to have it checked out. Because what happens is if you have a heart attack, like we were talking before, the coronary arteries that supply the heart muscle, if that gets you know, if it closes off, then you're not getting perfusion to that muscle and you're going to get death of that tissue, and then your overall heart pump is not going to work very well. And that's going to lead you to further problems with heart failure and higher risk for sudden cardiac death.
Okay, so what are some of those things that we should include in our lifestyle for a healthy heart? And I want to touch on a couple things. You said
Sure.
Smoking. We need to eliminate smoking, and about 25% of Fayette County residents do smoke, according to County Health Map rankings, and approximately, I think 41%, I have it in my notes, of residents are obese, and 39% report inactive lifestyles. So what kinds of things do we need to have a healthy lifestyle and a healthy heart?
Okay, that's a great question. So, you know, smoking is an addiction. It's very difficult to quit. I always try to, you know, talk to my patients. Certainly is just putting them down and not picking them back up, because a lot of my patients will tell me that, you know, well, I only smoke 1 a day or 2 a day, I'm cutting back, and then the next thing you know, it leads back up to a pack or 2. So you know, there's several methods that can help with smoking cessation. There's the nicotine patch, there's the nicotine gum. There's also medications that we can use that also help with smoking cessation. So certainly if you're somebody that smokes and we see you in an office visit, that's something that we can discuss as far as methods to help you quit.
So stop smoking.
Stop smoking. That's
as hard as that is.
Yes.
That's a large one. What type of exercise and physical activity do you recommend, and do you recommend avoiding anything in particular?
So we don't really recommend avoiding anything in particular. Certainly you need to be getting in at least 30 to 40 minutes of exercise on most days. You know, we like to see at least 158 minutes of exercise throughout the week. And that can be walking, biking, hiking, elliptical, swimming, you know, anything that's gonna get you moving, that's gonna get your heart rate, you know, up, and all that is beneficial. Yeah.
So not necessarily avoid anything, but any kind of physical activity is recommended.
Yeah. Now, I would recommend that, you know, don't go out trying to run 2 miles if you haven't done that for a while. You know, certainly gradually working your way up, but certainly exercise is essential to a healthy cardiac.
So I hear a couple of numbers, and one is BMI. What is that? Do you mind explaining it?
Yeah, so BMI is based on your weight and your height. And we like to see that number ideally below, 25. And there are, different ways to lose weight. It's kind of individualized for each person. It can be diet, calorie counting, Weight Watchers, the Atkins diet, low carb diet. Now there are certain medications that we're seeing great results with, the GLP medications, which are injections that are helping with weight loss significantly. And we're currently through Richmond Cardiology and Reed Hospital, we do research studies, and that's one of the research studies that we have going on right now is a GLP in patients with coronary artery disease and chronic kidney disease. So got lots of exciting things in that area. I think that we're going to see a big change over the next few years with these medications.
And I know when I go to the doctor every time, they check my blood pressure. And what is that indicating, or what is that telling my doctor?
So blood pressure, ideally we like to see that number less than 140 over 80, 90. Ideally in the range of like the 120 over 80. And we can get that number down by limiting your salt. You know, salt will increase the blood pressure. And that sodium intake should be somewhere less than 2,000 milligrams a day. And you will be shocked at how much sodium is in your diet when you actually go to count your milligrams throughout the day. Everything has sodium in it, and it can creep up on you pretty quick. And that will increase your blood pressure, as well as inactivity, you know, simply moving, and weight loss. All that will help bring the blood pressure down as well.
And then diet, blood pressure, BMI. What about looking at the amount of fat in our diets? How important is that?
So yeah, that's a good question too. So we like you to try to cut back on your saturated fats, choosing things that are more, you know, the unsaturated fats. So if you're cooking with, you know, staying away from vegetable oils, cooking more with olive oil and so forth, that will also help with, you know, keeping those numbers and improving your lipid, hopefully your lipid panel.
Now, there's a lot of olive oil out there that's fake. So how do you?
Yeah.
So what do you recommend for people?
We usually look at like the virgin olive oil is yeah. And then just reading your labels. You know, getting in the habit of just looking at the labels and looking at the sodium, looking at the saturated fats, and just sticking to a healthy diet. You know, instead of, someone told me this, and I think it's a great idea, is going through the outside of the grocery store. So meaning, you know, normally all your processed foods are in the middle aisles. So going through and looking at your fruits and vegetables and all of that is real important. And keeping to your lean meats, you know, as far as the red meats, you know, more fish, chicken will also be beneficial, you know. Staying away from fried foods, you know, keeping things, you know, grilled, baked, those choices.
Are there one or two top things that you would like to see in our community or in any community eliminated or added that would make an overall general healthier community?
Certainly. I think that some of the most important things that you can do for your cardiovascular health, one is not smoking. You know, that is, not only does it affect your cardiovascular health, it affects your lungs, can cause you to have cancer, peripheral disease. It's just a, you know, downward spiral. And I think that smoking elimination is really important, as well as keeping your diabetes, like I said, under control, and just moving, staying active, you know, just getting out there and move. You know, we've got lots of recreational areas here in Fayette County. We have the lake, we have the river, the kayaking, hiking. You know, there's lots of things. If you're not that person that is going to go to the gym, just getting outdoors, walking, and, you know, enjoying nature there.
Okay. I'd misspoke earlier. It's actually 31% of residents report being physically inactive. What types of things do you like to do to stay active and stay in shape?
So Well, I love to kayak. We just got back from Michigan and took a 3-day kayaking trip, and I love to be outdoors. So anything that pertains to being outdoors, hiking, kayaking, that's what I like to do, and just moving, being with family and friends, and all going together and taking a walk outside. I have a dog that is terribly spoiled, and she likes to go for her walks, so I like to do that.
What are, you talked a little bit about the symptoms, but I think it's important to review them again, the symptoms of cardiac distress, or that you might need to start looking into
Certainly.
your heart, yes.
Certainly. And that's real important, because a lot of people ignore the symptoms. And we kind of go by the saying, time is muscle. So it's real important that if you have any kind of discomfort, heaviness, tightness, shortness of breath, I see patients, weekly that ignored it, and then they're into the hospital and they've had a heart attack and damage to their heart. So it's real important. If you have any symptoms of heaviness, tightness, it can be in your chest, in your neck, down your arms. Anything that concerns you, always get it checked out. I tell people, you know your body better than anyone, and if you think something's not right, check it out. We would much rather you check it out than it to be something serious, so always just check it out. Any kind of shortness of breath, fatigue that's unexplained. And again, with coronary disease, the symptoms generally get worse if you exert yourself. So, if you tell me last month I could climb a flight of stairs and I didn't have any problems. Now I climb a flight of stairs and I notice that I get heavy, I get short of breath in my chest, and I have to sit down. That's symptoms that would worry me, and I would recommend that you get in to see a cardiologist, or certainly if the symptoms are ongoing, occurring, then call 911, go to the hospital. But if you're in doubt, have it checked out.
Okay. And you'd mentioned briefly calling 911, et cetera, but where are some places in Connersville that we can go and get some heart healthy resources and some support?
So, good question. So our patients that have had coronary disease that we see in the office or in the hospital and have had a stent or bypass surgery are referred to cardiac rehabilitation. And that is a fabulous program that the hospital offers here. And it has, there are several nurses that work in that department, and they go over education. They will have patients hooked up to an EKG telemetry so that they can see what their heart rhythm is doing while they're exercising on the treadmill. They have several exercise equipment there that will also benefit them, because before we say, okay, well, you've had this stent, just go back to your regular activities, or you've had this heart attack, go back to your activities. We like to have them enrolled in that program so that we're watching them on a heart monitor, we're checking their blood pressures, we're weighing daily, we're going over lots of education as far as diet and medications. A lot of patients don't know what medications they're taking because they weren't on any. They go into the hospital with a heart attack, they're sent home with 6 or 7 new medications. So lots of education with cardiac rehab, and also you form friendships with people that also have coronary disease and so forth. So
friendships and feeling that support amongst others. What is the impact of mental health on our hearts and our heart health?
Good question. Well, I think, mental health is essential. Stress can do all kinds of havoc on your body in all areas. So certainly, if you have if you're someone that has depression, anxiety, being treated for that is important.
Very good. I want to talk about smoking, and you offered suggestions for cessation types of activities. Where in Connersville can you find support for cessation activities?
Okay, so certainly your primary care provider, cardiology, all of, any healthcare worker can usually guide you in methods that you can help to quit smoking. And I believe the health department also has had some smoking cessation programs too. So that's also beneficial.
And one thing that we love and that you've alluded to several times is to get it moving. And of course, on the second Friday of every month, we have our art stroll. And Tracy, you want to tell us a little bit about what we're doing on August 9th?
Yes, we have, it's always the second Friday. We have an art opening every second Friday, and then the art strolls are from April to October. If we can find some other ways to do it in the winter, we might try that later on. But this August, we will be having the art stroll, and we're looking for some artists to be downtown to demonstrate their art, as well as chalk the walk between 4th and 5th. We'll be handing out art, sidewalk chalk, so that you can chalk the walk and draw and leave your mark, and just make some, spend time with the kids. If you just want to be the adult and take over the coloring book and make it your spot on the sidewalk, feel welcome to. And the artist that evening for the opening will be the unconventional artists, and that is Cindy Perez, Janine Hurd, and Katie Wood. And this is a very special opening for them. This is the first time they've had a 3-woman show, and it's just like I said, unconventional. These are not just paintings; they're found objects that are put into artwork, and so it'll be something totally unexpected when you look at their work. And then in August 11th, I think it's maybe the 10th and the 11th. We'll look into it a little bit more, but Mary Gray Bird Sanctuary is having their hummingbird banding. And so that's an opportunity to get out and do some walking around in some nature. And we're also looking at the Whitewater Valley Arts Association doing a plein air paint out and some photography opportunities there to make art. And so we'll have probably a tent there and some artists painting and some photographers walking around. And then IPA, which is the Imagine Performing Arts, they have a lot of things going on too right now. They've been working on their building a lot. They've done a lot of work and renovating as much as they can. They have the Imagine Performing Arts Choir that they're starting up, and they also have the Imagine Performing Arts Band, and then they're also working on a play. So there's a lot of things going on 4th and Central. So because the Whitewater Valley Arts Association is at 402, and the IPA is right next to us at 406. So there's a lot of things going on there. So.
And just as a reminder, on August 9th, you don't have to be an artist. You don't have to bring your own supplies. Just come on out between 5:30 and 7. We'll provide the chalk, and you can apply whatever art you'd like to your own spot on the sidewalk on those 2 blocks. So we're pretty excited about that. It's family event, but also just anyone who'd like to have recognition for their artwork out on the sidewalk. So we'd love to see as many people as possible come down. So many great things happening, and they support healthy lifestyles.
That's awesome.
As we're wrapping up, do you have a piece of advice, or I know there's no magic key and there's no magic answer or solution, but the piece of advice you'd like to leave us with?
Yes, so I think the biggest piece of advice is just trying to eliminate those risk factors that you can, and screening. We offer here in Connersville a coronary calcium screening, and that is an inexpensive test. It's $29. It goes on special every couple of months, and it's $49 otherwise, I believe. And that gives us an idea too of if there's any calcium in those coronary arteries. And again, if you think something's not right, get it checked out. That's the most important thing, you know. You're in tune to your body. If you feel that you're having symptoms or something has changed, get it checked out. Don't ignore it.
And the tests that you mentioned, the coronary calcium, is that involving shots and things that might cut us?
No shots.
Well,
no.
What is that
no
procedure?
Shots. All it is a CAT scan. It's just a CAT scan. So to determine if you have coronary disease, we do a couple testing. If you came in and said you were having some chest discomfort and you had risk factors, things that would concern us, the next step would possibly be a stress test. And we do those here in Connersville. And that would be walking on the treadmill, maybe doing an ultrasound, and determining if what your heart's doing at rest versus what it's doing at stress. If that comes back abnormal, then the gold standard to find out if you have coronary disease would be a cardiac catheterization, and that would be done at Reed, and it is a test that we do that gives us information. One of four things. One is you have no disease, and we say that's great. Two is that you have disease, but maybe it is just in one vessel and can be treated with medication, and not significant enough that you need any kind of intervention. Three being that there's disease there, it's high grade, but it's something that can be fixed with a stent or a balloon angioplasty to open up the vessel. Or four, you know, worst case scenario, that you have high grade disease in multiple vessels, or your left main artery that requires bypass surgery. So we know that's the definitive gold standard when we do that cardiac catheterization.
Okay.
So.
And then the one test is $29. Do we need to go through our doctors for that?
No, you know, you can just call central scheduling at Reed and set up an appointment to get a screening test. And I've had lots of patients that did not know they had any problems symptom-wise, or maybe they had symptoms, but they didn't know it was related to coronary disease. They get their coronary calcium score back, it's elevated, and you know, not always, but sometimes then end up with bypass surgery or stenting, and didn't realize how bad they felt until they were treated, and then feel so much better. But the screening test probably could have saved their lives, you know, did save their lives.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you so much for
Oh,
all
you're
the
welcome.
information that you've shared with us today.
Okay.
It's been fantastic.
Thank you.
And Tracy, all the events coming up, it sounds like the art gallery is just a super place to be. And I also know that you are at the farmers market on Saturdays.
Yes, we are. Most Saturdays we are there, but we have volunteers to help. So.
And what can I expect to see at your tent at the farmers market?
Well, some of us will demonstrate some of the things that we're doing. There's one lady that does pen and ink and watercolor, and she'll sit out and do that. I do my rug hooking when I'm there, and we might have some gift cards or things that are available from other artists that are there, some jewelry, and then sign up for classes that are coming up. So we do have classes coming throughout the year. So we're still looking at some. Well, there's a lot of classes going on right now, and then there's some that we're waiting for dates from the teachers themselves. So.
Okay. And one thing that I've been taking note of this summer is the community garden at the Oasis, and I see a lot of tomatoes. They're not quite red yet.
Yeah, I don't know much about that, but that's Discover Connersville. But I think it is a community garden that anybody can take some of the pieces. You know, they can weed if they want to, they can water if they want to, and they can also have some of the vegetables that are there.
So I believe I saw blackberries, beautiful blackberry bush, tomatoes, and some zucchini, and a lot of other plants. I'm not a gardener, so I don't know.
It's all on our healthy diet.
Yes, they are. So that's a place that you can visit. It doesn't cost anything to do that, to go in and pick any of the vegetables or anything that's growing down there. So again, Thanks to you both for this great
Thank you.
opportunity to learn more. Missy Griffin with Reed Health, and Tracy Burns with the Whitewater Valley Arts Association, and I am Sarah Rathburn with Healthy Fayette County.